Okay, I'm drawing a line in the fucking sand here. Do not read the Latin.
Hey everybody, how's it going? We're back at it again. It's the Undercast Company. And today, coming back with another underrated movie. Today we're going to be talking about The Cabin in the Woods. It came out in 2012, directed by Drew Goddard and also written by Drew Goddard and Joss Whedon, famously known for directing Avengers and Age of Ultron, and they both worked on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I don't know if they worked on other stuff together, but I know for sure Buffy. The movie came out, I think it had a $30 million budget. It had a $66 million box office, which is pretty good. Made its money back, made a little bit more. Has a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty good. You'd think that's a almost perfect movie, but I still feel like when it came out, it was pretty under the radar. But yeah. So, anyways, introduce myself. My name's Alan, and
I'm Ariel.
Derek McDuff.
Fred Torres. How's it going, everybody?
And welcome. So yeah, today we're gonna be talking about Cabin in the Woods, and yeah. So, what are you guys' thoughts on it?
I'll go first. Okay, so I enjoyed it, but for me, I don't know if it's because I didn't watch it when it first came out, but for me, it was just too much. It is definitely like I liked the nostalgia factor of like, okay, this is like an old, like like the slasher films of the 80s and stuff like that, and like it's playing off of that and like kind of the twist of the organization and this whole thing behind with this
Sorry.
What?
Sorry. First off, I completely forgot to mention. Okay, obviously spoilers, but this is one of those movies that I just want to give people a heads up. This is definitely one of those movies that before you go and watch it, I want to tell you right now, you can either listen to the spoilers or just go in and watch it and then come back and listen, because this is definitely one of those movies that.
Look, I'll be honest.
It's better when you go in without knowing. But go ahead.
Yeah. No, I would say that you need to go in without knowing, because it ain't good if you know.
It's like Parasite or From Dusk Till Dawn, where there's a hard turn in this movie.
Yeah.
And,
Okay, and don't tell me about Parasite. You still need to watch it.
Yeah,
But okay.
It literally says in the trailer there's a hard turn in this movie.
I know. Well, you don't tell the person.
Saying.
Okay.
I didn't tell you. I just said this. Oh my god. Continue.
Okay. All right. So yeah, for me, I don't know if it's like I kind of like I might have gotten spoiled for me, so it might have like not been that twist, but I mean like overall like I think it was okay. I mean, it's not like a hidden for me, and I feel like it was the ending was kind of like okay. Like it was kind of like it wasn't fulfilling to me, at least, like
Thank God.
I know, I'm
Thank
sorry.
God. No, thank God. Thank God.
Hold him back.
No, thank God. Like I felt like I wasn't gonna be the only one saying that.
No. That's why I was like I wanted to start, because I didn't really care for it as much as like I know we'll hear from Derek and Alan, who's this who
Probably enjoyed it more.
have recommended this. So like I get where they were going. It's just it was like maybe at moments it was too much. Like characters weren't like complete. I think like I feel like they should have like explored like the people that they were before they like jumped into this. I did like the one character that I liked the most was I just would refer to him as like the Shaggy character, the stoner character. I felt like he had some great moments and stuff like
Marty?
that until
My boy Marty?
Yeah, Marty. Marty was a fighter. I will give him that. Like he was up until the end. Like I really liked him, and it wasn't until like
ideals.
yeah. but still, there was like, okay. I mean, I think I'm putting myself in the situation and be like, all right, like, okay, here's a spoiler. All right, it's just sacrifice me for the greater good kind of thing.
I would have blasted him. I would have fucking shot him in the head and been like, sorry, dog.
Yeah.
Well, the one for the many.
Like, so I mean, that's just my opinion. And yeah, for once, like, I'm on the side of negativity. I feel sorry.
Damn. Right. Yeah, let me hit it up. All right, so the movie didn't bother me that much, right? Thor's American English his American talk. It was all right. I mean,
I thought he did a good accent.
It was okay. It was all right. It wasn't the best.
It wasn't Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, exactly. No, which wasn't terrible. I'm not saying like it was the worst thing. It was just it's funny to hear him like that, and then you see him in the Thor movies talk a little bit, maybe somewhat more natural.
I think for me, because I wasn't jarred by it, because the first movie that I ever saw him in was Star Trek.
No, and I'm not saying it's jarred. It's just funny to hear him talk the whole movie like that, and I'm just like, I could do with his regular voice.
Well, he's not doing his real voice in Thor either.
Well, no, but like the accents, at least I know he has an accent, and in Thor it's like somewhat of ish. It kind of feel like it comes through.
He's kind of doing like a Shakespearean thing, which is very different than Australian, I feel like.
Yeah, but it still sounds like when he talks, he's got an accent no matter how he talks. It's just when he sounds American, it's way different than when he's like being Thor. Yeah. At least that I can buy it and be like, well, he doesn't sound like, it just doesn't sound normal. So I'm like, all right. But over here, where he's trying to be like a young American man, it just makes me chuckle. It's not a bad thing, and it's not taking away anything from the movie. I'm just putting out that it makes me like chuckle a little bit when I heard him talk. I was like, oh, bro. The other characters, I was okay with the way the characters came out, and I was okay with the way they did it. It's cool. I mean, that's how like those slasher movies, horror movies are. You don't really know much. You got your virgin, you got your promiscuous chick, and all this other stuff. So they had that there, and that was cool with me. I was already on board. I'm like, cool, let's do this.
Fred, could I say one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
I had no indication that she was actually a virgin until
she wasn't a virgin.
They said, yeah, she wasn't,
she
right?
She said we work with what we have.
Yeah, they acknowledge it at the end. Yeah, they acknowledge it at the end. Yeah, and we all knew she wasn't because she was
there
with
was a whole affair. She had a whole affair with the professor.
Yeah.
Very stereotypical. Another stereotype.
No. But the thing is, she's the more innocent one of the group. That's what I'm saying.
And like when she's making out with the guy, she says, "I've never." Well, not never. So.
Yeah, I mean, but she's a more innocent person. Like she doesn't like to jump into stuff unless she's romantically involved. Is what it is. And she knew what she was doing was wrong. But anyways, that's besides the point. Still going with. I think I could dig the characters. The characters were cool. They were all who they were supposed to be, and I was down. When they started going out of the town, I was like, all right, what's going on? The scary guy, and right before you get to the cabin, I'm all good with it. When it starts to flip back to the I guess the institute or whoever's doing, the who's looking behind, they have this whole tech, almost like NASA style thing. I was kind of into it. I'm not gonna lie. I was really into it. I was like, okay, this is a little different. When they're betting and all this stuff, it was good. I really enjoyed it. What killed me though was the ending. I just felt like, fuck, man, you dropped the ball on that shit. Like this giant thing. Like, oh man, I wouldn't mind seeing the giant thing before I die. And then this, I just, you know what? When they set out the monsters, dope. When everybody's dying, dope. The guy gets killed by the merman. I knew it was gonna happen. Yeah. I knew it. It's like. It's the cheapest. I mean, like you knew the foreshadowing was like it wasn't even like it was just it was there. It was in your face that he was gonna get eaten by a fucking mermaid man, and I'm down with that. The only thing, like I said, it was just the ending. I was like like it was solid. I don't know what I was hyping it up in my head too much, thinking like it's gonna be kind of cool, and I just felt like it was anticlimactic. Maybe it's because they were smoking weed and sitting down and like I don't know, being like it was okay. I don't know.
Hearing you say it, I think that's the same trap that I fell into. That, like, because I've heard like all these good things, and I was up to it. I was like, it kind of like had dropped off for me in the middle, but then it picked back up once they got into the institute. And when all of the monsters got released, that was like the most badass thing ever. Like you see all these different monsters from like multiple things. I think now thinking back on it, I think the moment where it started to like dip in the middle was right after they chose like their monster. Like I I love that whole scene of like, oh, are they going to choose this? Are they going to choose that? And all that. And like, you get that anticipation too. But I think like once the actual, like, we'll call it the haunt started, it was like, oh, okay. Like, I don't know if it was because, yeah, like they even make fun of like, well, yep, it's always the Buckners. Like, it's always the Buckners and stuff like that. But yeah, that hip there, and then I think once it picked up a bit more for me, like once Marty like showed up, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's alive and stuff like that. And then it was like riding a good high until that ending. Like, it would have been awesome, like for me personally, if they just like technically they beat the whole system, but if they like kind of like, I'm pulling from like a movie that came out this year, Ready or Not, where it's like,
yeah, don't spoil it.
Yeah. If you watch Ready or Not, the twist right at the end is a really, like, there's 2 twists within the span of like the last 2 minutes, and I wanted something like that. I think.
See, what I was saying that got to me wasn't that it was just the giving up at the end. Like, I get it that it's going to be inevitable and like, but I felt like they were fighting so hard. Like the whole
you wanted to win for them.
Well, I want to talk about why I like that when it gets to me, though. But
Actually, I want to get to that as well. I actually want to do 2 things real fast. So I messed up in the beginning. I forgot to mention a little bit of the plot because I was more. If you're this far in, you're kind of going, okay, what's going on? Essentially, you have these very stereotypical archetype characters. They're going to go camping in a cabin in the woods, obviously. And you're kind of seeing these 2 guys. They're on this computer kind of control panel. Looks like the base from like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers almost kind of thing. And they're kind of watching these characters, and you're kind of like not knowing what's going on. But like the more you watch the movie, the more things start being revealed. Like, you know, like how Fred and Ariel were mentioning that there's a whole like different monsters are being chosen to attack the kids, kind of thing. So to get a little bit more, essentially, the whole plot is the kids are trying to figure out what's going on. Why are they being hunted down? Kind of like a regular slasher film, but then it starts becoming something more where there's that hard turn where you're like, oh, there's something much bigger involved. It's not solely just a typical slasher film. It's a critique, kind of like a satire on the whole slasher genre.
It's like a meta commentary in general.
Yeah, very meta. It's very meta.
This is like one of the most meta films I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, and then they get all the monsters in, and there's this whole organization that's running like they're essentially doing sacrifices every other year or every time they need it to keep like the old ones at bay or whatever monster. Like, there's a scene where Japan they're trying to sacrifice a bunch of kids to like a ring or grudge type ghost, and then. Like other countries, like they all have their monsters kind of thing. And like, I guess over here in the States, we have like these, well, we'll get to the ending, but they have all these different monsters like rednecks, zombies. If you notice on the whiteboard, Fred, they had the tree from Evil Dead.
Yeah, you even see it in the when the elevator opens up, I believe the branches come out and they grab a guy.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you like pause the movie, and if you pause the movie and look at the whiteboard, you can see all these different kind of like monsters and stuff.
Remember,
like
it's kind of cool.
Guy.
Remember when you see the guy with the puzzle and the saws on his face? It almost
Hellraiser.
It gives me that Hellraiser stuff. Yeah, that's where I thought. Yeah, it does have a callbacks. That's why I was like, damn, like it's a good movie. But like I said, the only part that I didn't like was the end. That's what got me.
I think that's for me too. Because like the more that you're talking about it, and just like it was. Especially the stuff like the behind the scenes stuff in the compound and stuff like that. That was
amazing.
Very, very great and stuff like that. Like Bradley Whitford and the other I forgot his name. Yeah, Richard Jenkins. Like their characters and even Amy Acker's character. Like that whole dynamic was
audiences for the surrogates for the audience.
Yeah, they're amazing.
A lot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer alumni.
They
were great. All that stuff was great. It was awesome.
It was like all this for me. I think to wrap it up, mine and Fred's like commentary on it is that there was all this build up and this hype, and then the end just kind of like dropped. It was like a drop.
It was a little flat. It was
yeah. Okay, but let's go on to the. Yeah, let's
if I
go
can
on
ask-
to the other side of the,
Yeah, go ahead, Alan.
conversation.
Oh, but so I want to ask you
Yeah.
guys, since you guys kind of felt the ending was flat, what were you kind of expecting? Like, were you expecting them to like? Was there like a Deus Ex Machina was going to kind of save the day, or
I don't know. I've never
did you
watched Deus
think,
Ex
like-
Machina.
Yeah, me neither. I was expecting them to
Come on,
not.
wait, hold up, wait a minute. Hold up a second, guys.
No.
Is that a joke?
No, are you guys joking? Okay.
No, I thought you were talking about the actual movie. No, I get what you're saying.
It's like the trope of Deus.
Yeah,
The
no,
trope,
I
yeah.
get,
Yeah,
I understand. I just thought because we're talking about movies, I thought he was talking about a movie.
Ex
No,
Machina is fucking great.
yeah, no. The reason I felt that it fell flat is because how can I put it? Like these guys fought all movie long, right? And even at the very end, they fought to then just say, you know what, fuck it, and then I don't know. I like that that at the end they lost. You get what I'm saying? Like I like that. I didn't want to see them win. All right.
I think they win. I think the people who've been fighting the whole time, they win at the end because they're like, we're not gonna play your fucking game anymore. Like you want us to we've just been like your pawns. You've been trying to like get us to save the world. And Marty's like, you know what? He's even said at the beginning, society should crumble. Like he thinks it's all bullshit. He thinks that like, you know what? If this is a world where like it has to exist by like murdering teenagers every year, then fuck it. Maybe the world's not worth saving.
And I
think
say to
they
that,
win.
and I
No,
say,
I
that,
don't
well,
think- I
fuck
agree
you
with that.
then, and
No,
I
I
would
don't agree
walk.
with that.
I
I
would
don't-
shoot him in the head.
I don't agree with that philosophy. I'm not saying that like
No,
I do
no,
that, but
no.
I think that's true to what the characters are doing, and that's a great
Right.
ending for this particular
No,
horror movie.
and yeah, but like I don't know. Maybe it's because I do like the horror. Like you fight to the end, and then the bad guy, he'll get you, right? I don't know. Like I just feel like that. I understood it. I understood it for what it was. But like I say, in my opinion, it just fell flat because I just felt like at the end it's just like it wasn't. I don't know. Maybe if the speech was a little bit more, I can't explain how they could have made it better because the rest of the movie was great. Like the rest of the movie was fucking awesome, and then I just get to that one point, singular point at the end, that I'm like, maybe if their speech was a little, like the conversation they had was just a little bit different. Maybe I don't know, maybe something. I could have been like maybe one contradicting the other one, going like, yeah, we're gonna go out, but maybe we should have saved humanity, and the other one be like, no, something a little bit more. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure if that's what would have made it well.
I just liked how I like.
And then
kind of underplayed.
And then where they got because then the big thing is like the God comes out. I don't know. It's just I was like I don't know. Like I say, I can't tell you what it is. It's my opinion, and that's. I mean, it's just I'm just saying that just that little part at the end, just the smallest thing. I would have said like, dude, this was the most perfect movie ever. Like it was a fucking good movie because even though. You're seeing it in the perspective of you, like you guys said, like you being like at that institute, you're those guys. It's just it's so good, and then just that one part. It doesn't ruin the movie for me completely, but I'm just saying that just one part. I just said the ending just felt flat. It felt flat.
But like for me, like I get like that's a difference in opinion thing, you know, because what I love about the movie is that it keeps setting up these things that you like expect you think you're like these classical horror tropes and these things, and then it like subvert things, you know, like Marty coming back, you know, like things like that, and things they're always set up, but they're set up subtly. Like when Marty dies, supposedly you hear underground like it starts shaking and like, oh, they're enjoying the show, and it's like, no, like if you like go back and watch it a second time, it's not like, oh, they're not like enjoying the show, they're like pissed because they did the death ceremony when he wasn't actually dead, and there's like a million things in that where they like are setting things up and then subverting you, but they're telling you this is what's going to happen if you're, you know, if you go through it with a fine tooth comb, you like will notice these things.
Like when the power went out, like when the power goes out, and he's the one downstairs actually who got it. You know, that stuff.
You know, and some of them are more obvious, like the hawk flying into the thing, and then you know Thor smashing into it. But there was always like a thing where nothing comes out of nowhere, and it's really, really, really well.
Well, yeah, the hawk was like the foreshadowing for Thor smashing into the thing, because that's how you knew. You knew right away. You're like, oh, he's gonna go out.
Yeah, but like, and that's why I love the ending where it's just like a total subversion. Like most of the time, it's like, oh, the hero saved the day or whatever. Like they die. Like she makes the hard decision, and this one it's just like, you know what? Fuck it. Nope. Like this is it. The world's gonna end. Boom. Like it's just, and it's like the whole movie's like that, where like it's just like in your face, like right from the opening credits when it's just like those two guys and they're like, like you see all these like blood and sacrifices and stuff, and it cuts to like these two guys. They're just like in a golf cart or whatever, and then the horror scream comes in, and you've got that classic cabin in the woods, just like, rah! And it's like over these two like office workers, and that's how I felt. Like it's that, but at the end of the movie, it's just this. It's like still doing it where it's like, yep, you think you know what's gonna happen. It's just subverting all these expectations, and for me, that was perfect. Like honestly, this movie is probably, I was looking over like all my top movies of the last decade. I'd say this is definitely in my top 10 personally. I'm not a huge horror guy like Alan is, but I still appreciate like its commentary on horror and film in general. I think Drew Goddard is a goddamn genius, and we could probably do an episode of Underrated for almost all of his movies. Like nobody talks about good Bad Times at the El Royale. Like he also was the original showrunner for Daredevil. He directed and wrote a lot of the best episodes of Lost. Obviously, I'm going to talk about that because I always talk about Lost. Drew Goddard is an unsung hero in Hollywood. Nobody really knows about him except for film people, but he's incredible.
Alan, you want to provide your commentary?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, so pretty much, I mean, Derek pretty much said a lot of things that I was going to say. I loved it. I kind of, the one thing I will say to go into, I think the reason why I don't think it was as big as it is the marketing. It's funny, they did the marketing how you want it to be.
Yeah, this was very underground, word of mouth. Like that's all I ever heard of it from was like, you know, just word of mouth. Like you got to watch this movie, big twists and stuff.
Yeah. I gotta ask, did it come out like during, I don't know, like a Halloween time maybe or something, or was it kind of like in the summer?
I think it was
in the summer because I remember I saw it with a bunch of friends of mine, and we were all Buffy fans, so we were like, oh my god, you know, we walked out going, that was the best episode of Buffy, because it felt like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode.
Came out in April.
Yeah, see,
so
I think.
No, that's not even summer.
No, I think
that's like when Avengers came out. That's like the beginning of the summer, you know.
So, I think it would have helped it out maybe if it was like closer to the end of the summer. We're still summer, but closer getting into the season of you starting to get, you know, kind of ramping yourself up for like those Halloween scary movie kind of things.
Yeah, it came out like, it's like the movie that come out like right before the big summer movie.
Yeah, pretty much. I think too is like, because it's a double-edged sword, because like the trailers were very generic. I remember you were kind of like, okay, like the only reason I think a lot of people saw it was because of Joss Whedon and Drew Goddard, you know, and then Avengers was coming out right around that time too. So people are like, I think other people were like, oh, maybe, you know, the Avengers director's doing this, maybe I'll check it out. And the trailers were very generic. Yeah, all that. So you're kind of like, all right, maybe I'll check it out. And then when I saw it, I remember telling people like, oh my god, you need to watch it. It's fucking good, but don't look it up. Don't just look it up to watch it. Don't read about it. Don't do anything. And I think that's what kind of hurt it as well, because people are kind of like, well, I'd rather know what it's about. I don't want to go in blind. Like a lot of people don't typically like to go in blind. I think people like to know more about it. So I think that's where it was a double-edged sword, where maybe that's why it didn't get a lot of attention. I mean, yeah, it made its budget back and more, but I think.
But yeah, when you factor in marketing, it probably broke about even. You know, it was not a huge financial success.
Yeah, it made money. Like it technically is a success.
Well, look, but when you think about how much they spent on marketing and how much it made, it didn't do net too well, honestly.
I mean, did they spend a lot on marketing? Because I don't know how much they spent.
Like usually, you got like the kind of rule of thumb is you double the budget. Like whatever they spend on the budget, double that, and that's marketing. And so that's pretty much about what it made.
Oh, so then it probably only made $6 million profit in reality. So yeah, I mean, pretty much, but yeah, but I mean, still, I guess that's where it's like kind of lies, but. Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I loved everything about it, like the whole tropes and everything. And the ending, especially the ending, was my favorite part, because I love when there's no hope. I love when it just, like, they're sitting there smoking weed and just going, fuck it, we tried. And then the big old hand comes out of the ground and just destroys the cabin, and you're like, boom, that's
and
the
then
end
it just
of the world.
starts.
No, you know what? Not that I don't want to, like, deter anything. I don't think they tried at the end to save the world. I think they decided on let it burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. I mean, like, I'm saying in general, like, movies, they're trying to, like, oh, we need to save the world. And like, I felt like with this one, it was just like, they're kind of like, fuck it, let this bitch burn. And, like, there's no hope. And the world was going to end.
You know,
and I love that.
So, the bro Sergio isn't here right now, but I could tell you like an additional gripe that he had was that it felt more dated than it actually was. Like it came out in 2011, but 2011.
Yeah, it came out 2011.
Yeah.
It was released.
Avengers
it was released in 2012 because Avengers came out the same year.
Yeah, it came out in 2012.
Oh,
I'm looking at IMDb right now.
Well, I'm looking at
the only. It's because the only reason I know.
No. It's 2012. It's 2012.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the only reason why I know because I was single at the time and that I remember having a good time that year because that was one of my favorite parts of the year too, was watching that movie. And but yeah, I digress. Yeah,
but no,
it came out around Avengers time.
And I see where he's coming from because I kind of felt the same to a degree, but it really felt like maybe in an early 2000s movie than a turn of the decade
I don't know if I agree with that at all.
Especially with the music choice. The music choice.
Yeah, the music choice is a little. But I think what it is some of the CGI in some of the parts, like in the scene where everybody's coming in through the elevators, you can kind of tell that some of the CG was good on some of the monsters or demons, and on some of the other ones it wasn't like super sharp.
A smaller budget, $30 million is not a huge budget.
And that's why. And I think
very ambitious.
And I think that's what I'm saying. And I think that's what gives it a little feel. Sometimes when you watch it, compared to like some of the other movies that maybe aren't too CGI intensive, but the CGI is more crisp. If I guess I could say like more sharp. There's some parts that I did notice when I was watching it. I did notice that I was like, in some scenes it's really tight, looks really good, and then in other scenes it was a little lacking. Could have been maybe when they were editing like the CGI, they didn't, maybe they were like, people aren't gonna notice that much. But
Joss Whedon is known for his editing.
I just felt that you could notice.
I think too, he was on TV for a long time, so. I mean, he probably was like,
the
we're just going to try the
CG on
best we
TV,
can
yeah.
We got.
CG on TV is not that great.
That was supposed to be meant to be not a compliment. It's supposed to be Superman.
I don't care about the Superman. CGI. If I'm being completely honest, I don't give a fuck about the CGI.
I do not in the sense of like it ruins the movie, but I think as an overall, if I want to
I think it was the music. The music took me out of it. It took my brother out of it mainly. I kind of like breezed past it, but I know that that's what was the big gripe for Sergio. Every time the music played, he kind of rolled his eyes.
Because I feel like Alan was on a roll.
Oh, you guys can finish up and then I'll
no, because the only thing I was going to say about the dated music, it could make sense for your brother because he's a lot younger, and the movie. I mean, watching the movie now in 2020. Yeah, I could see you say, well, yeah, some of the music is dated, but I got to assume that the music for the time was probably for the time.
Yeah. That's why I mean, I was saying like maybe if I had watched it, if we watched it like when it was current, then that at least that perception might have been different. But Alan, go on.
Yeah, but I mean, with the whole music and CGI, I kind of expected it like that because it was 30 million and I was like, it's a horror movie. You don't a lot of budget, you don't really get big budget horror films. Like they get like a moderate budget where it's enough for the practical effects. I mean, and then too, there's a lot of horror movies that have really shitty like CGI a lot of the time, especially around that time where Paranormal Activity was thriving with a low budget. I'm pretty sure the studios were maybe, this is just my theory. I'm pretty sure a lot of studios were like, we're not going to give you a lot of money. Yeah, you're going to make a whole big ambitious finale, but we're not going to, go to I think like right now, chapter 1 and 2 and maybe just the Conjuring movies are probably like the big budget horror movies at the moment. But especially around that time, they were kind of shooting for like, hey, let's do low budget found footage film, and which made this movie even better too, because it kind of got out of that and was like, hey, let's do everything kind of thing. But what were you gonna say?
Well, I mean, it's not impossible. Like if we look at another movie that we reviewed, self promotion, Evil Dead, like that one had a low budget and
Yeah, but it
did
didn't
amazing.
have the ending in this movie was like so much crazier than anything you saw in that movie.
Yeah, with Evil Dead, it was a lot of practical effects, which I've heard that practical effects is a lot cheaper. It's a lot
It
more
is,
hard work,
yeah.
Yeah.
but CGI is more expensive, so that's probably why. Because like,
Yeah.
I mean, and then too with Evil Dead, I think even the opening scene where they light that lady on fire or something like that, they were like, oh, we used like magician illusions. Like they're like, we put glass in front of this and in front of that. Like there was no CGI involved at all.
Yeah.
Like that movie had no CGI.
That's why that movie
But-
holds up till like this day. Like that's, I mean, when you
Yeah.
watch it, you don't ever think like, oh man, is this you know, it looks funny or anything like that. Because the CG, I mean, since there's no CGI, any movie with practical effects always tends to hold up. It looks,
Oh, yeah.
more vintage in the film style. You can kind of tell it's older. But since there's no CG, you can't really date yourself with the movies. For example, like you watch, like let's say for example, you watch Toy Story 1 and then you watch Toy Story 4. Let's say 10 years from now, you're gonna know, oh shit, Toy Story 1. Look at, because you're gonna judge it to what the standards are of the time you're watching it.
Mhm.
So if the CGI is way better, obviously you're going to say, wow, Toy Story 1 is garbage, Toy Story 4 was all right, but the CGI now is, you know, you can't tell the difference if it's real or fake. And it's kind of one of those things that, like, obviously practical is going to look nicer. I just, the CGI wasn't bad in this movie. I just think that, yeah, like you guys said, you know, sometimes the budget, you overlook a few little, you know, little imperfections in the CGI to say, let's just do a better story.
No, yeah, I mean, pretty much. I think too. I think they were more shooting for like that big reveal, that big like boom, you know.
Mhm.
Because I was like blown away. Like I was just like, holy shit! Like
Okay,
I think because I went in. Oh, go ahead.
can I say though, I felt that that God at the end was a little lackluster. Like, couldn't they have like horns or I don't know? Because all the other monsters that they had were fucking cool. Like they all
Oh,
looked fucking bad.
It's just the hand.
Wasn't it just like a? It wasn't just like a fist.
No,
that comes out of the
they-
ground?
No, was it just a hand or I thought a like
Yeah,
a
it was
whole
just a
thing?
It
hand.
was just a hand.
I thought it was-
Like, I liked it. It's just
It
like,
was just a hand. I thought he came out. I thought the
that.
guy started walking, like coming out, like you could see the head.
No, it's literally just a hand.
No, it's just a hand. It
It's just a
punches.
hand, like-
It comes out of the ground and it like destroys like the.
It's
Like
smashed
cabinet,
to the
and
cabinet.
it just
and then that's
boom,
the
fade
and
to
then
black.
a hard cut to the credits.
Mm.
Like that's I
Mhm.
love that. Like you don't need to see the monster. It's just it's gonna. This is the hand. That it's gonna. There's more to the body. It's gonna come up. All these gods.
I don't know, but
some horned demons.
even so, I'm just saying, like the hand was just pretty plain, like just a plain Jane hand.
It's at the end of the, like you don't. I don't think you need to have
No,
some crazy.
but no, I'm not saying like
spiked hand or.
Well,
something.
you know what? I think that would have been cool. Honestly, I think it would have helped with that ending the way I felt flat. I think maybe I'm not saying it needed to be like super like crazy, but I don't know. Maybe because I did feel like, with all the monsters, all the stuff, it's got to be like hell. It's got to be like other stuff. Like I felt like. Obviously, this is my way of looking at
like
it.
I was
Doesn't need
expecting.
to
But no,
I was
but I know, but the
expecting,
tease of a hand could look cool. Like you could make that look cool. It's
I
just
feel
a
like
hand.
You're harping on some very small.
I
Things.
don't know. I well no like I guess it because my preference is like just like even if it is less is better. Like it would have been more satisfying if like it is, and then also like a kind of like a not much use of a credible actress, the Sigourney Weaver. Like if Sigourney Weaver was actually like
I love that
management.
She's the joke. It's the joke that it's Sigourney Weaver. You know, like it's like like she's like the scream
Joke.
queen from the
That's
'80s.
why.
I mean,
Bring
no,
her in. And I mean, Paul did the exact same thing.
No, and I mean,
like,
you know
a
what?
year
But,
later.
but I'll be honest, I could have done without that scene. I mean, I know it's
I
cool,
mean-
but at the same time, I could have done without that scene. If you had to pay her a lot of money, put the money in other stuff. I could have done without it.
They probably
Yeah,
didn't pay her that much. Like,
I hope
it's
not.
just a glorified
No.
cameo. It's the same. Like Paul did the same thing a year later, but with science fiction. You know, like it's like here's the joke. It's Sigourney Weaver. Like it's this director that's kind of like talked about. So when you have this reveal, it makes sense. It's like it's not just like some rando. It's like it's Sigourney Weaver. You know, that's the joke. That's the thing.
Oh no, I might say like Sigourney Weaver not being like Sigourney Weaver being in it is like not a good thing. I just felt like it was a unutilization like to the fullest for me.
I think
like it's what it, you know what it is. It's fan service. At the end of the day, it's gonna be fan service, and the fan service is cool. No, and it's not. But at the same time, it's always a debate of fan service. Some people are like, "Oh, I could do without that kind of fan service," and other times you're like, "Oh, no, the fan service is great." Fan service is always a debatable subject for people. Like you always fall on one side of the fence. Either it's too much or it's just enough.
I would have like I guess my type of fan service is that it's for a reason, kind of thing. Like I mean, like even in the recent Crisis on Infinite Earths, like they had the fan service of like Ezra Miller's Flash,
dope.
but then there's like the
Massive
implication.
spoiler.
Okay, it's been
Sorry,
by
guys.
this time it comes out, but there was like the implication of like, oh, Grant Gustin's Flash gives Ezra Miller's
The name
Flash the name, kind of thing. Like, so that implication, like, oh shit. So it's kind of like for me, my fan service. I want it to mean something. Like it's awesome.
This meant something. I don't know how. Okay. This definitely meant something. Like, it's Sigourney Weaver, like the Scream Queen returning to like this role, like the full fact that she's like the director who's been hyped up this whole time is this iconic character. Like,
I think to finish up a little was it's pretty much because again it's satire on the horror genre, especially on like this, like because they encapsulate like all the different kinds of monsters and all the different kinds of tropes and all that stuff. So I think having Sigourney Weaver at the end was just the icing on that cake.
Yeah, exactly. No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, this is like, honestly, this movie is like a fan servicey movie to people that like the horror genre.
Like horror, yeah.
Yeah. So like, obviously, to people that are really, really into it, you're gonna be like, this is the shit. To everybody else, is like, yeah, this is a lot of fan service.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean,
but like I'm saying though. But like I'm saying though,
I still appreciate it.
I know, but like I'm saying though, the movie itself was good. Like let's not take that out of the thing. The movie itself was a good damn movie. Like they did a great job. I mean that's all I can say. They did a great job. The little things here and there that you go, obviously how would I make this my movie? It's always that's always the opinion. That's always the best debate. That how would you change it? How would you turn this into what you would think would be your improved movie? Because that's a lot of how the debate goes on a lot of stuff, on TV shows, on this, on that. It's always your opinion. Because at the end of the day, I'll be real with everybody. Everybody's opinion is valid because it's an opinion, and nobody can take your opinion away. Whether people out there are disagreeing with what we're saying or agreeing with what we're saying, your opinion is valid because it's an opinion. It's not fact.
Yeah,
nobody.
That's fine.
Yeah.
You can have that opinion.
Exactly. Nobody could tell you, like, even though people go, it's garbage. Nobody can tell you that your opinion is not right or wrong. Because at the end of the day, it is what it is. You're an opinion, and it's a good movie. It's a good movie.
Yeah, Alan, did you want to say anything else? Because there was something I wanted to kind of go off of what you were saying, Alan.
Just to pretty much finish up. I mean, but yeah, story-wise, acting-wise, like I felt like everything. Like they knew what they were making. They knew it was very tongue-in-cheek. They knew it was very fan servicey, and it was all satire. Like I loved every moment about it. Like I love that at the end of the day, the two worker guys, Bradley Whitford and Richard Jenkins, were just like, hey, this is just another day at the office kind of thing. And they're like, we got to get this done. We got to do this. And I was like, that's so funny that at the end of the day, they're trying to take care of the world, like for the greater good, and it's just a job. Like when they have the whole office party, he's like, yeah, it's sad that this girl's fighting so hard.
It wasn't the mermaid.
Tequila is my lady, and then they just start. Oh my god, it was great. And then just the whole ending where, they say fuck this organization, who gives a shit? Like let the world just die. I was like, great, fuck yeah. Like I just like that whole it was a different ending. Like usually, like you guys said, they're trying to fight to save it, and this one they're like, dude, fuck it. And then just the fist coming out of the ground, destroying the cabin, was just perfect. Like it was done. Like you can't go anywhere else from that. And I just remember walking out so shocked and just going, oh my god, that was the shit. Because like there was just always something coming, something brand new was always coming around the corner, and there was so much mystery, and like the comedy was good too. I'm very picky about my horror comedy. But it was funny, and just everything was like for me it was like a perfect horror satire comedy that like rivals like Scream and the whole meta thing too with like Scream and Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Like this was just another
Whoa! Wes
addition
Craven's
to
New
that
Nightmares
like
is actually
horror
a good
meta.
movie.
It is a good
I
movie.
agree with you
Scream's a good
100%,
movie.
Alan.
Yeah.
All that stuff you said,
Yeah.
Alan, I agree with you, and I think what really sets it apart, from other like similar like horror meta commentary movies, like maybe like ones you had mentioned, or like Dale and Tucker versus Evil, which are
Oh
all
yeah,
like
Dylan,
good
that was
movies.
great.
Those are all great movies. Don't get me wrong, I love those movies, but like this one, it's the added layer of the audience surrogates, like you were saying, the people watching it. It is and the subversion at the end where they lose, the world ends. That's what really sets it apart for me from these other similar movies, which I enjoy, but are not in that next tier of movies for me personally. And that's, like Fred was saying, that's, like my opinion.
All right. So, final thoughts. You want to move on to final thoughts?
Go for it, Harold.
So yeah, for me, it was really good for the most part. It was pretty good. For the most part. For me, my recommendation is that you go and watch all those other movies that Derek mentioned and Alan mentioned, in my opinion, first. I feel like, especially like, damn it, what was a few that like you mentioned, like
Scream,
Gale and
Wes Craven's
yeah.
New Nightmare.
yeah, Gale and Tucker.
Dale and Tucker versus Evil.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Gale and Tucker versus Evil.
Dale.
Dale and Tucker versus Evil. All those, Ready or Not. If you're looking for a really good like twist on the on genres, yeah, I feel like those go watch those first. Then watch this one. It's not my foreground kind of like movie. It was fun. For the most part, like there's really good characters, except for like a few that weren't really filled out, in my opinion.
One thing to say about that, if I can just say something, I feel like they did that purposely too, because when you watch a lot of slasher flicks, they don't really flesh out the characters. It just goes like that. It's like, because again, they have the archetypes of virgin, the jock, the promiscuous girl.
I think for me that might have costed me feeling like the impactfulness of the ending, especially with if it was like maybe not that, because I personally did not like the virgin character. I feel like maybe if it was just Shaggy, I would have felt a lot more if it was just him. But that's what I think. Is I feel like I had a lot more connection to him, and maybe if she wasn't part of it, the equation at the end, it would have gotten a lot. But it would have been I might have been more agreeable to the ending. But yeah, that's if you want to watch it, if you want to watch, if you're a fan of the horror genre, like really deep fan of the horror genre, if you want to watch something that has, an unexpected twist to it, probably you've watched it already because we've spoiled a lot in this. So you probably already have your opinion of this movie. That's my wrap
We'll
up.
just still watch it. I mean, even if you heard all the spoilers and all that, but I mean, it's a fun movie. At the end of the day,
it is fun. It is fun. It has some great funny moments, like just the whole facility moments, like just makes me I like had some really huge laughs, especially with like just Bradley Whitford's just being so like I didn't get my merman and stuff like that. So like it has its moments for me, but overall it didn't deliver as much as I wanted it to. So that's just me. It might have been overhypeness. It might have been just like the time of day that I watched it. It might have been just multiple factors, but for me, personally, that's how it was.
Fred? Final thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I think it's a good movie, and if you guys like it, I mean, it's, well, you know what it is? It's a almost like a slasher type movie, but with a comedy. Because I'll be real, it's not. You're not watching Jason, you're not watching Freddy Krueger, but yet it's almost in the same vein of the movies. but it's got some levity to it because of the comedy. So if you feel like those other movies maybe are a little bit more intense for you in horror, I would say this will help you fix it up. And if not, I say, you know what, give it a shot anyways, because it is a good movie. It'll have you going. The ending is up to you, you can decide whatever you think. And if you agree with me, you can write in the comments down there that you agree with me. But I think that it's a good movie, and then you should watch it. You should watch it and enjoy it for what it is. A good movie with some comedy and some slasher stuff going through.
Derek?
Yeah,
I
mean, like I was saying, obviously, I think this is one of the best films of the decade.
I don't care if she's on there.
Whether or not
you can't monetize the video though. If they have a baby, they cut
really
you out now.
Appreciate it.
You can't have babies in
because a lot of these tropes that subverting, even if you're not a horror fan, you're very aware of them because they're in cultural zeitgeist. Like everybody knows these Cabin in the Woods movies. There's there's the character of everyone knows there's these like kind of like the characters of the jocks and stuff like that. And it also not just comments on like American slasher movies. There's also like Alan said, there references Japanese ones, and like there's even a couple references to like Italian horror, like whatever other countries it might be.
Alan jumps on and off.
Really, like this and anything written by Drew Goddard, I'd say people really need to check out more. Wow. Overall, one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, and I mean, same here. One of my favorite movies from the teens, the previous decade. I loved it, and at the end of the day, it's a love letter to horror. It's a love letter to horror fans. At the end of the day, if you know somebody who just watches them and you just enjoy it for what they are, that it's just kind of familiar, and you just enjoy it for what it is, just for what it is, a love letter to horror and its fans. Yeah, definitely go check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, all right, guys. Thank you so much.
Oh wait! I want to leave you guys with a little tidbit while I was reading the IMDb page. So that awesome thermos/bong. I'm just reading on it.
That's actually real. Wait. That's actually real, I think.
Yeah, that's what I just read. Yeah. It was a fully functioning mug and bong.
Bong, yeah.
It costed $5,000 to make.
Oh, well, I don't know how much it cost, but I knew they were real. You could buy them.
Yeah, it cost $5,000.
I'm not gonna lie, that movie kind of spawned them.
Like, yeah, I think it's what happened.
As soon as I walked out, everybody was like, "I need that.
I need that thing in my life." Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, that was the impressive part.
That was one of the greatest.
He brandishes it too. It's
exactly. It's such a good quote unquote brick joke where like everything that comes up earlier in the movie is relevant later, and it's like that bong, how he uses it to like as a weapon. It's so fucking perfect.
Yep, go watch it for the bong. Just watch it for that if you have to. It's just dope.
Yeah, I posted it on the page. You could watch it there.
Please see it. Yeah, go for it. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate it. Just comment on our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. We'd love to hear from you guys. Let us know what you guys think. Now with being the 2020 and a new decade, how about just like commenting and let us know what you think was the most underrated film of the previous decade, the teens, and maybe we'll check them out. We'll give them a try.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Guys.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for listening.
It's the Undercast Company. I'm Alan.
I'm Derek.
I'm Fred.
I'm Ariel. Thanks for being amazing.
Thank you so much, guys.
All right, later, everybody.
I'll see you in another life.